12900KF, 5700X, Core Ultra 185H? What do these names even mean? If you've ever been confused by CPU names and wanted to know exactly what you were buying, this video is for you. Today we'll break down Intel and AMD CPU naming schemes so you can shop smarter. This is Realsolute, where to understand the CPU name is to understand the CPU game. First off, Intel has a wide line of processors, ranging from the Celeron and Pentium processors intended for work and basic functionality, to Xeon intended for more server functionality, and to the core lineup of 3, 5, 7, and 9 intended for more processing-intensive work and gaming. For the purposes of this video, we are only going to be talking about the core lineup of Intel CPUs. Let's start with Intel desktop CPUs. Their naming scheme includes a series number to show the generation, e.g. 13 in 13600K, a placement number to indicate the relative performance in the series, e.g. 600 is mid-range while 700 is higher end, and suffixes that explain additional features. K means that it is a high-performance CPU, with it being able to be overclocked. The T suffix means that it is power optimized, where it doesn't use as much power but at the cost of performance. F means that it doesn't contain integrated graphics, meaning with this one, the HDMI ports on the motherboard become useless. And the S suffix means that it is a special edition chip, which isn't used much at all, but all it means is that it has a slightly higher factory clock speed compared to non-S suffix chips. Here we get to the laptop CPUs. Now, you can't exactly buy a laptop CPU separately, but it's good to know exactly what you're getting in your laptop. The chips with the HX or HK suffixes are pretty much the same. They both have integrated graphics and they both can be overclocked, but there are a few differences. HX has higher power limits and core counts compared to the HK, making HX chips better for performance-heavy tasks such as gaming or workstation use. HX chips focus more on gaming laptops and have better thermal management. The chips with the H suffix are optimized for the highest performance possible at the cost of power efficiency, and are unable to be overclocked, unlike the HX and HK chips. Meanwhile, chips with the P suffix are optimized for better performance in thin and lightweight laptops. Now there are the chips with U and Y suffixes. Chips that contain U means that it is power efficient. Meanwhile, chips that contain Y are extremely power efficient, meaning they are able to be used to full capacity even at the lowest power consumption.
Editor's note here, the full capacity isn't actually that much because it uses almost no power.
Now we've reached this point where Intel decided to be different. Like, they changed the name of their Intel Core processors. Like, we already got used to this one, now I've got to change to this one? Like, why? Well, I mean, Intel decided to be nice with this one, and they made it shorter and simpler for us to understand. So, here's an explanation of the new one. So essentially, the first number after core is the same, with the added difference of the word ultra in the middle. Now, numbers have been swapped around, so as the 13 in the start meant it was the 13th iteration of their Intel Core processors, the 1 here means that it is the first Intel Core Ultra processor series lineup. The 85 is its placement in the CPU lineup. Now, suffixes are pretty much the exact same. If you do get confused, however, you can just refer to earlier in the video, or you can check out the information on Intel's website, linked in the description. Now on to AMD. AMD has a wide lineup of CPUs, with Athlon basically being AMD's Pentium, with it being good for daily tasks, daily processes, and work, with very limited gaming performance. Then there's EPYC, which is a server CPU, not well for gaming. But then we get to the Ryzen lineup of CPUs, which I believe is the reason why most of you clicked on this video. The AMD Ryzen lineup of CPUs uses the same performance method as Intel, with there being a Ryzen 3, Ryzen 5, Ryzen 7, and Ryzen 9. But there's actually one extra. See, Ryzen also has the Threadripper CPUs, intended for more 3D rendering purposes and scientific simulations, but can also be used for overkill gaming. Now, I don't recommend buying one, as it's a big waste of money if the only game you're ever going to play is vanilla Minecraft and Roblox. The naming scheme for AMD Ryzen CPUs aren't actually as different from Intel Core chips as you might think. Take the Ryzen 7 5800X as an example. The 7 indicates the performance tier, competing with Intel Core's i7 or Core Ultra 7. The 5 shows that it's from the 5th generation of Ryzen CPUs. The 800 indicates its position within the lineup, with higher numbers offering better performance. Sometimes there's the occasional 50, meaning that it's better than chips without 50 in its name, with the chips that do have 50 in its name having a slightly higher boost clock. But then there are the suffixes. Always remember, AMD has different suffixes compared to Intel's. The 3D suffix at the end of a chip's name means that there is an extra V cache within the chip, which significantly improves gaming performance. The chips with the X suffix means that it has a higher clock speed than others, but also has a higher power consumption. WX at the end of a chip's name means that it is a workstation CPU, meant for, well, work, and normal tasks and schoolwork. F means that it has no integrated graphics, just like Intel's suffix, meaning a dedicated GPU is needed. Chips with the G suffix means that it has integrated graphics, but the suffix is only used on the 5000 series and older because new CPUs always seem to have integrated graphics anyway. E is pretty simple to understand. E for power efficiency. The T suffix means that it has a higher boost clock speed than other non-T CPUs. And finally, AF means that it uses a refresh of Zen CPU models, aka Zen Plus. So it means that it is a re-released chip based on a more efficient or newer manufacturing process. Now you know how Intel and AMD names their CPUs, so now you know what you're getting and how to identify their chips. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video or found it otherwise helpful, please consider liking, and if you wish to see more, please subscribe.